history, mysteries, conspiracies, and more. Right now on Thinktankden After Dark. You are listening to the Thinktankden After Dark podcast. Welcome to the Thinktankden After Dark podcast, where we illuminate the shadowy corners of history, science, and conspiracy. I'm your host, Lalo Def, in the building. Your guide for tonight's expedition into one of America's most breathtaking landscapes and its deepest mysteries, the Grand Canyon. Tonight's topic of our show. But before we get into that, please take time to hit the like and subscribe and notification bell. Obviously, depending on what platform you're on. Leave comments. Let us know what you think about the show and some of the ideas you might have for future shows. We take all that into consideration, and I absolutely love hearing from you guys. So please reach out. Also follow us on Instagram at Thinktankden, one word, and our YouTube channel is also at Thinktankden, one word. And if you really like this content and want to support the channel, go a little above and beyond, leave us a tip in the tip jar. Give us a donation if you like, $1, $10, $5, whatever, you feel we deserve, right? There should be a link somewhere in the description on your varying platforms. Just $1 goes a very long way to help with the show. And as always, we appreciate you so much. And I want to say thank you for being here with me tonight on this interesting topic. But yeah, back on to tonight's topic, the Grand Canyon, but not the geological wonder we know today. We're driving into, we're diving into claims of an ancient, possibly advanced civilization that may have called the canyon home thousands of years ago. Could the towering cliffs hide, evidence of a lost people? We'll delve also into the possible whispers of the Smithsonian cover-up of that civilization and things in that area. As always, I'll present, facts, theories, ideas, my opinions, conspiracies, and more. But always leaving you to draw your own conclusions and, do the work. I tell people all the time, do your own research. Don't listen to some talking head somewhere and say, okay, he said that, that's what it is. Go get a book, There's tons of documentaries or whatever. Usually, the best place to find information is in a book. If you follow the show, you heard me say this more than once. I'm a big purveyor of books. Go find the books on the things you want to know about and do the research. Seek things out. For yourself so that you can draw your own informed conclusions about these things, so that you're not, just following the masses. You're not just clicking on a YouTube video and that's it. You know it all. That's not the best way to go about it, right? But yeah, seek out knowledge, seek out information. You never know what's going to be the thing that makes the light bulb go off, right? So always do the work. Do the work. Um, anyway, as we segue into the first portion of this, the Grand Canyon kind of has a mystical aura about it. I don't know if some of you have been there and actually visited the Grand Canyon, but it's very beautiful. It's breathtaking. And in some cases, it's a little overwhelming, especially if it's the first time you've been there and you stand along that edge and just look out, over it and just imagine like how vast that area is, and of course the how many peoples have come and gone through there long before we did. Eons ago when it was water, rushing through it or whatnot. It was kind of like its own mini Mariana Trench at one point, and it's breathtaking. If you haven't gone, you should go. I believe everyone should at least once go check out the Grand Canyon. It's pretty special. But before we get into those other fringe theories, let's talk about the Grand Canyon itself. The Grand Canyon is an UNESCO World Heritage Site, carved over millions of years by the Colorado River. It's over a mile deep, and it stretches about 277 miles. Beyond its stunning beauty, the canyon has long been a place of spiritual significance. The Native American tribes of the region, including the Hopi, Navajo, and Zuni, have oral traditions about the canyon's sacred nature. The Hopi, for example, believe it's an entrance to the underworld where their ancestors emerged after a great flood. There's that great flood thing again, right? That tends to pop up almost everywhere in every civilization in some form or another, is some type of flood. If you didn't catch our last show, I touched on some of that. So if you want to go check out the last show, by all means, after this show, go check that out. With such a rich, tapestry of myth and history, I mean, it's no wonder that the Grand Canyon has become like fertile ground for speculation about ancient civilizations. In 1909, the Arizona Gazette, which is a now defunct newspaper, published an article that would become the foundation for much of the speculation about an ancient civilization in the Grand Canyon. Now, the article claimed that a Smithsonian funded expedition led by a professor, S.A. Jordan, and an explorer named G.E. Kincaid had discovered an elaborate underground city. Now, according to the article, this city contained hieroglyphs, statues resembling Egyptian and Tibetan art, and even mummies, suggesting a connection to ancient Egypt or even Asia, right? The supposed city was said to be located in a remote area near Marble Canyon, where sheer cliffs made access nearly impossible. But here's the kicker. The Smithsonian says they have no record of this expedition, right? Conveniently. And they've denied any involvement, which has honestly only fueled conspiracy theories even more. Was this story some type of an elaborate hoax? People hoax things all the time. It still happens to this day. Now they just do it in a more complex way with this technology and AI and digital formats and stuff. But it's the same thing. Or is there maybe there's some truth buried beneath the canyon strata. In my opinion, when it comes to most myths and legends, there usually is some type of truth at the root of it. Now, it could be something as simple as a cave art by the Indians that just happened to look like similar to something the Egyptians did because that's just the way it happened to look. Might not be any actual connection to it, but that's just the way it looked, and they ran with it, right? But I've kind of found that usually with these types of things, there's something at the root of it that sparked the whole thing. There's usually some kind of truth. Rarely is it just out of thin air, Usually there's something to it, And then when you look at how, well protected the Grand Canyon is by specifically the government, it's a bit much, I've been to military installations and where things legit needed to be protected, and the Grand Canyon in some instances is being protected more than some areas on military bases that should be protected, and that's, at least for me, kind of a little mini red flag. It's like they're gonna put all this effort into protecting it, and honestly, it's been there for millions of years and it's been doing just fine. Our little Apache helicopters and E3 planes and stuff, that's what's going to protect it. It definitely doesn't help with the conspiracy side of things. They definitely make it worse, or at least drive people to thinking there's more to it than meets the eye. But let's take a moment to consider the scientific perspective, right? we always have to look at, all points of view, right? Um, Despite numerous expeditions and studies, um, there's no concrete evidence of an ancient city within the Grand Canyon, at least according to geologists and archaeologists. Now, geologists and archaeologists argue that the canyon's rugged terrain and the absence of artifacts just make such claims highly unlikely, right? Now, the area where the supposed underground city was quote unquote found is protected as part of the Grand Canyon National Park, conveniently, and no major discoveries have been made there, so they say. Moreover, the Grand Canyon is geologically much older than the rise of ancient civilizations like the Egyptians or Tibetans. Of course, that's based on our current understanding of the timeline, which is, let's face it, being literally challenged every day, right? But if if we go with the current mainstream idea of the timeline, then it doesn't fit, right? But skeptics of mainstream science point to the sheer difficulty of just exploring the canyons, especially the more remote areas. Could there be something hidden in its, labyrinth of caves? I mean, there's been several documentaries done about the Grand Canyon, and people trying to find what Kincaid said he found. And um, when you watch those shows, it's undeniable that, yes, they're definitely being protected pretty heavily. There's people who have gone there, and whenever they've tried to explore, they're stopped by government vehicles. There was a time where one individual went and specifically attempted to get to the area that supposedly where the ancient site was found or whatnot, and military helicopter came out. Not just any regular helicopter. It was an Apache attack helicopter, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. That this is supposed to be, a natural national area for people to come on vacations and stuff, and it's being patrolled and protected by an Apache attack helicopter. Like, are we going to mow down a trespasser? Like, what? Anyway, but the area that this civilization or evidence of was supposedly found is kind of like it's off of cliff. It's like in the middle of the canyon, up the wall of the canyon. You can't get to it from the bottom by just like walking into it, and you can't get to it from the top by walking into it. It's kind of in the middle. So you actually have to either, fly in there or lower yourself down or whatever. So, and everyone, that's really the only way you can get to it, right? So go figure, the government has a no-fly zone. So no one can even go in there and fly in there to even look at the area where this is. So like they covered all bases, all bases. You can't climb down in there. You can't you can't go in the bottom of the canyon and look up at it. You can't, you can't, fly a vehicle or even a drone. None of that's allowed in there. And when you look at how big the area is, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. Their excuse is it's for our safety. Yeah, I'm not even going to even get into that. But anyway, but it's hilarious. You know, if there's nothing there at all, they could solve this overnight by just simply sending somebody, letting someone go in there with a plane or a helicopter or a drone and just LiDAR scan the whole thing, and it'll be put to bed, period. Just like that. That's all it would take. That's literally all it would take. You know, if I had the kind of money to put together something like that and would be able to get the permission, I'd do it in a heartbeat. I'd do it in a heartbeat. You know, I would get a team together, get some petitions together and say, you know what? We just want to fly a drone in there. Just can we just get a drone in there with LiDAR scan technology? And let us just fly it through and map the whole area out, because even if there's not, these ancient civilizations or whatever there, maybe there's, stuff left over from the Indian cultures that were there that need to be documented or preserved. So, I mean, I think there's value to it. But like I said, the way they protect it, it definitely, doesn't help their case, to say the least. Um, and then of course the Smithsonian says they have no record of anything, but during that supposed expedition, there was either like some kind of stone or coffin or something found, and they said that they have record that they received it. So which one is it? There's no expedition at all. We had nothing to do with it, but we also did receive this item, but we don't know where it went. Oh man, it's frustrating to say the least. Um, but let's move into that a little bit more, right? Let's get to the juicy parts of this mystery, right? The alleged Smithsonian cover up, you know. Um, some, theorists believe the Smithsonian Institution or Institute actively suppresses discoveries that challenge the mainstream historical narrative. I mean, I've I've heard things to the point of, they've found, giant bones. They found civilizations and evidence of advanced technology in areas they shouldn't have been, UPARTs, one of those out of place artifacts. They found that kind of stuff. And anytime they do, it just poof disappears. It's always a picture. You always see like this old picture from like 1890 or something. And there it is. They took a picture of something. They didn't have, Photoshop and, AI and all that stuff back in the day. So they took a picture of something and then poof, it disappears. You never see it again. You only have the photograph. That's it. And there's, everyone can just argue the photograph. It's a hoax, and that's how they left it. And that's kind of been the tactic and or MO when it comes to artifacts, at least from what I've seen. Um, but you got to ask yourself, if it's not a big deal, why would they do this? Hmm? What's the point? You know, what's so bad about knowing the actual timeline? Again, it's not going to change the world, really. I mean, I'm still going to work. We still got to pay bills. Kids still got to eat, food, clothing, and shelter. It's not like someone's going to come out tomorrow and say, hey, there were Egyptians in the Grand Canyon. I'm not going to work. Yeah, it just doesn't work like that, we'll hear it. It'll be cool. We'll watch a dope documentary on it, and we'll move on with life. On to the next mystery. What's up with them UAPs? But yeah, you got to wonder why they would even do this. Put that much effort into it. Theories range from the academia protecting their careers. The established academics, which I can actually understand to a certain degree, but on a big global scale like that, I don't know. They're trying to avoid the societal upheaval that might result from rewriting history. That's just stupid. There's not going to be an upheaval whatsoever. I mean, think about it. I discussed this on one of the other shows. When they came out and announced that UFOs and UAPs were real. That's now a fact. And the New York Times came out and broke that story, and they broke that. Basically, told the whole world that yes, UFOs are real and it's a fact, and we just don't know what they are. And the next day, nothing. It was out of the news cycle within a couple of days. I mean, I've seen cat videos that had more time than that story did, and it just was gone, and nothing changed. Literally nothing changed. But then they're still pushing this idea that the world's going to collapse if they know something. That's ridiculous. You just told us something and nobody cared. It was a blip. The most boggling, history altering thing. And we were just like, oh, okay, UAPs, cool. And yo, what about them bears? And we just moved on. It was crazy. It was crazy. But again, you look at the Smithsonian and you say, you know what? Why? You got to ask though, who's really pulling the reins on that? Because I just can't believe the Smithsonian themselves would just go and do that and continue to do it all these decades later. When how many curators have come and gone, or directors and management have come and gone, but they're all doing the same thing. If that's the case, that's an established doctrine that they are following from something that was established way up a long time ago and is still being adhered to. You think by now you'd have at least one or two people in all those decades break out and say something or show something, or because the government has leaks all the time. But man, the Smithsonian is lock and key, airtight. It's crazy. Government, leaks like a ship with freaking holes in it, but the Smithsonian, lock and key. Nothing gets out. Their technique of compartmentalization is more effective than the military's, which is, that's just funny. But yeah, just think about that. I mean, after all, evidence of ancient advanced civilizations in North America. I mean, it could change things, to a certain degree. I mean, we know about human migrations and the origins of civilizations, up to this point. But I mean, I get it. It'll change some things. But what we'll need to, invest money in rewriting textbooks. Is is that gonna alter, our financial structure or something? It's we got to rewrite all the textbooks now. Is suddenly the stock market's gonna collapse because textbooks have to be rewritten? It's again, it's ridiculous. Um, to think that society would collapse over stuff like that. One prominent proponent of this theory is another guy that I follow. Is by the name of David Hatcher Childress. Um, some of you might know him from that show Ancient Aliens. He's on there often. And he's got a lot of books out as well. I've read a few. And he's got some pretty good theories and ideas about some of these, fringe things. But I urge you to check him out. He's another one that it's worth looking into, worth a good read or whatnot. And he's been in, like I said, a few documentaries. So if you want to look him up, he's definitely one that touches on this a lot, especially the ancient, ancient theories and stuff. But David Hatcher Childress, I mean, like I said, he's a well-known figure in all alternative history circles. One of his books, Lost Cities of North and Central America, Childress accuses the Smithsonian right out of hiding evidence of advanced ancient cultures, including those supposedly connected to the area of the Grand Canyon. Now, of course, there's no, hard evidence, hard proof of this cover up. Like I said, the Smithsonian is better at it than the government is. The Smithsonian has consistently denied these allegations. Maintaining that their mission is to preserve and disseminate knowledge. Yeah, you take that as you will. I have my own opinion, but you take that as you will, right? One reason the Grand Canyon theory is, in my mind, is so intriguing is its supposed connections to the ancient Egyptian and Asian cultures. Some proponents argue that the hieroglyphics and statues described in the 1909 article suggest some type of contact long before Columbus. Now, of course, that's not far-fetched at all, because I think by now we kind of all know that Columbus was not the first one to discover America, that there were others before him. They talk about the Vikings and stuff like that, and I honestly, when you look at the way the continents are set up on the map and the way that the ocean currents flow, if you ever get a chance to look at a map that has specifically shows the continents and the continental drift along with the ocean currents, and when you look at that and you see where the rivers connect to, if you look at it as a whole, it's actually not that far-fetched at all that they could have, ancient civilizations could have traveled around that way. They actually wouldn't be that difficult in reality, because the currents would be doing 90% of the work. The current, they just slapped a boat on the water and the current would take them there. They would, I mean, even if they didn't do it on purpose, they would probably find it at some point over the thousands of years in on accident. You know, when just somebody out there trying to go somewhere else and just get sucked away and drift to somewhere else. You know, the those currents are like conveyor belts. You know, you can you can do the infamous, you know, note in a bottle and see how that happens. You know, I mean, this day and age, you could probably take a um, one of those like trackers, air tag type trackers or something, throw it in a bottle, toss it in the ocean, and you know, see, you know, if you get it to the water at this point, how far would it take you? Just off, just sheer, just floating. You know, no real effort, just letting the current take you. And if you look at that map and how they show the currents flow, it's almost a no brainer. You hit on one spot and it takes you straight to this spot. You know, and then those are the areas that they start finding similarities. Like, you know, like the everyone's building pyramids. It's like there was a you know, a pyramid fad going on for thousands of years between people who supposedly never had any contact, right? I mean, I've always, you know, thought that didn't make any sense. Like, oh, they just all just figured out pyramids, just, you know, with no contact, and you know, they just all started building the same stuff. Just it's all happenstance. I've never really believed that. I've always thought that there had to be some kind of contact. But if you look at the ocean currents and how they travel, the current travels around all those areas, coastlines where they find all these pyramids. So it's again, um, I don't think it's far fetched, you know. And again, that's just my opinion, my humble opinion. Um, but the this you know there's an ongoing debate among scholars about, you know, whether ancient civilizations, you know, had the seafaring technology to traverse the oceans. Um, while most mainstream historians just completely dismiss the notion of the Egyptians in North America, but proponents point to, you know, artifacts like the one that fascinates me a lot, the Perry Reese map. Some of you might be familiar with that. The Perry Reese map, which suggests um, a surprising knowledge of uh, global geography in ancient times. The Perry Reese map features area where um, it shows Antarctica before it had ice on it. Now that's supposed to be impossible, but they've compared it to maps taken in the modern area when we were able to scan deep enough into the ice to get the actual land, and it lines up, you know, nearly perfectly. Now, how can an ancient map have that when the ice was there, you know, long before those ancients existed? You know, if that's the case, the timeline really has to go way back. You know, you're no longer talking just thousands; you're talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, etc. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's just another one of those uh, little clues, you know, to the whole thing. You know, could the Grand Canyon's supposed civilization, you know, be part of this lost history? Is that what Kincaid found? You know, this uh, not necessarily a breakaway civilization, but maybe they came as an expedition, or like I said before, got on the ocean and got swept away and got lost, and the current just took them. Let's say that let's say their sail broke, right, in a storm, and their oars were damaged or something, and now they're just sitting in a boat with no propulsion except wherever the current decides to take them. And if you look at these maps, it would, if they're not actively fighting against the currents or whatnot, it would literally just take them, around these coasts without even any effort. So it makes me wonder if, were they on an expedition to go somewhere else maybe, and then got caught in the current because their sails broke, so they couldn't catch wind, their oars were damaged, so they couldn't provide their own propulsion, and they just floated with the current and landed there. And then those guys just said, "Hey, what is this place?" "Well, we're here. We're hungry. We're starving. We need water, whatever. Let's go explore." And maybe they did, and they stayed there for a while and built things or left things to let someone know that they were there, and then left and went back home. You know, I mean, there's been uh, depictions found in Egypt of expeditions. So we know that they were using boats, and we know that they were going out. So they left those depictions of that, So we know that happened. Now, where they went and what they saw, etc., we don't know that. We just know that they have depictions of expeditions clearly that went out. So, again, another one of those little breadcrumbs, right? So, moving on. So, why do stories like these, captivate us? Hmm? In my opinion, I think it's, because they, challenge our understanding of history and, human potential. The idea that advanced civilizations existed long before recorded history, just resonates with our desire for mystery and discovery. Especially for somebody like me. Like I said, I grew up on the What Ifs comic books and, just stuff like that. And I love the idea of theory and, what if and outside the box. And, I when I was a kid, I used to often think about Mars. And, was there a civilization there, eons ago that was super advanced, and they had cities and vehicles and technology that to us was like magic, you know but wiped out millions of years ago or even further. I mean, when you look at time is undefeated, right? uh, Time is absolutely undefeated. It could be what if a civilization existed there a billion years ago, with a B, a billion years ago? First of all, there would be virtually zero evidence of their existence left, right? I mean, here on Earth, it would only take, I think, about I want to say 10 million years for all evidence of our existence to vanish. All our buildings and everything we built, all that, even the plastics that people think are supposed to last forever, they actually don't. By the way, they don't last forever. They vanish too. It just takes a lot longer. But you know, a million years, or I'm sorry, 10 million years, or maybe 100 million years, everything's gone. All signs of our existence as it is right now, poof, gone. So it's, to me, not, that far fetched that, many civilizations have come and gone and lived in many of the areas that, like the Grand Canyon, right? It also, taps into a deep skepticism about authority. I mean, when institutions like the Smithsonian deny claims, it's easy to wonder if they're hiding something. You know, let's face it, conspiracies are often more exciting than the mundane truth, but many of them come from some level of truth. We're living in an area where conspiracy theories are becoming true every day. More often than anything else. They're now calling them, spoiler alerts. So this is another one of those things that might turn out to be the same way um, as time goes on and more evidence is found. I mean, the governments of the world and these organizations, and they've done a terrible job at maintaining confidence or transparency. I mean, people are really beginning to see through the deception, you know, um, which I think is actually pretty amazing, because I feel like we're at a point where we're beginning to kind of wake up. There's like a great awakening, to what's going on right now in the world with virtually everything. People are beginning to look at things and um, become more open-minded, um, willing to explore things that they wouldn't explore before, because they were considered, taboo. But, here we are. And I think it's a great thing. I believe you should always keep an open mind, and you should always be willing to hear, the out of the box thoughts and theories, because it could be literally one sentence or one idea that changes everything. You know, I'm pretty sure at some point many of you have had what they call an epiphany out of nowhere, from you were in the middle of watching a movie or listening to a song, or sitting on the infamous toilet when ideas just pop into your head that change everything for you, where you go, this is my great idea. This is what I need to come up with. We many of us have had those experiences. And I mean, for me, um, as a songwriter and recording artist, that happens often, where I literally could be just in the shower, and just something would just pop into my head, and next thing I know, I'm humming and I'm tuning it out or whatever, and now I can't get out of my head, and now I'm hopping out the shower as fast as I can to get to my equipment and try to get the tune out of my head and record it before I lose it. And I'm sure there's many of you who experience something similar. I mean, I've had ideas pop up, um, like back when I was in the military. I'd we'd be out on deployment or something, and we'd stand security watches or whatnot, armed watches and all. And man, I don't know how many times I had things pop in my head during those watches, from just seeing things and hearing sounds, it just made me go, that would be cool. Or um, listening to people talk, in the mess deck, mess halls or whatever, and eating chow, and just overhearing someone else say something, and it's just like, oh man, that's not a bad idea. And then I go get a pen and a pad and sit down and start writing, from that one little bit of information. So, longer to short with that, you definitely need to keep an open mind, especially when you're talking about this type of stuff. We're already talking about stuff that's considered fringe, right? But having an open mind helps you, or having an open mind helps you with digesting some of this information. Because with some of this stuff, for some people, is stressful, right? I went through that at one point when I first started getting into this, rabbit hole of this type of stuff. And it was a time I had to take a break from it. It was just too much. It was like, it's too much. I got to back away, and I just got away from it. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you feel overwhelmed by stuff like this, take a break from it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Take a break from it. Come back and look at it later. Take a little bit of the information and then back away, and kind of give yourself time to process it. Because for some of us, especially those of us who are deeply religious, some of this stuff can affect you. It really can. And I understand that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you. That's just, the normal human process of figuring out things that, change our point of view and or perspective or challenges it. So there's nothing wrong with that. All I ask is that you keep an open mind and don't close off to anything. Don't say, nope, not going to look at that or hear that or whatever, just because it doesn't go with my point of view or whatnot. You need to take everything in, because, none of us know everything, right? You might out there, you guys might know something I don't know, which is why I ask for your help. That's why I ask. I say, hey, leave comments. Tell me what you think. Give me ideas for shows. Tell me your stories. Did you have an experience? Have you been to these places I'm talking about? Tell me about it. You might come up with something I've never heard of, or you might spark an inspiration in me to do something I've never done. It might not even be related to the podcast. You might say something that inspires me to create a new song, or to produce a new track, or to write a book. These are all things that we can inspire each other to do through having an open mind and having a conversation and communicating. But with that, I think we'll wrap up the show here. I want to say thank you to everyone for joining me. This has been fun. Absolutely enjoyed talking about this, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please, again, comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Follow us on Instagram at Thinktankden, and also the same on YouTube, our YouTube channel. And if you think we deserve it and you really like this content, please share it out, and consider throwing something in the tip jar. Give us a donation, $1, $10, $5, whatever. Whatever you feel we're worthy of. It really helps. Dollar goes a long way. We're probably funded by guys like you, or I'm sorry, people like you, and we need you. We need you. The only way we're going to be a success is with you. you know. So again, I absolutely enjoyed this, love this time, had a lot of fun. Please reach out, and with that, I'll wrap it up. I hope you guys have a good night, and catch you on the next episode. And with that, we out.